This video is going to walk you through how to use PageBuilder, which is a design tool that's available on all the BigCommerce stencil themes. So from your dashboard, you're going to click on Storefront. This is going to take you right into the themes area, and you'll see next to your active theme, you're going to click Customize. And this will take you right into the page builder. Now on the left, you can see there's a bunch of different types of widgets, images, videos, products, buttons, and then on the right side, you can see how your store is going to look. Now in this preview, you'll see that there are these colored areas. So we've got a blue area and a purple area. The blue areas are going to be specific to this page. So these are called regions. So this blue area region is only going to appear on the home page. The purple regions, as you can see, they're marked global regions. So anything that I put into this region is going to show up on every page right beneath the main menu. Now, if I go look at my store, you can see there's nothing here. There's no space between the main menu and the carousel. So when regions are empty, they don't take up any space. But once you put something in them, then your widget will show there. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the various, the most common types of widgets that people use and the requests that I get most often for content that people want to add to their sites using PageBuilder. So the first would be some sort of site-wide banner. So for a site-wide banner, we can see we've got this global region up here, and we can just drag, let's say, text into this area, and then we can put our text in here. So I can say, I sale on all furniture this week only, and I could put a link if I wanted to, and I can highlight this text, and then I can use this little link icon to insert a link that would go to, let's say, my furniture category. Now this looks okay. It's kind of blends in a little bit with the main menu. It doesn't really stand out. So what I would normally do would be to put a background for this banner. But as you can see, with just a text banner, I don't have the ability to put a background color or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this text widget, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on the column, which you can see I just sort of clicked outside the box, and then over here I'm going to click back out of the column, and now you'll see there's a layout there. So the layout, which I could name site-wide banner. For the layout, I only want it to be one column, which it's already set at, and then I can put a background here. So I can select, maybe I want this to be red because it's a sale. So now you can see I've got a red background. And now if I go back out of my site-wide banner, I can put my text back in here on top of that layout. And then I'm going to want to change my text color to white. Now it's white. And I think I probably want to change the size a little bit. It's a little bit big. And maybe I want to change the font size. I can make it bold if I want. You know what, I'm going to make the text even smaller because I'm going to make it all caps. So when I come in here now and I edit my text, okay, and if I want, I can highlight all this text and I could link it to the furniture category. So the only thing is the text looks a little crushed up against the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my layout for my site-wide banner, and I'm just going to put a little bit of padding on the top and the bottom. And that looks much better. So now if I go ahead and publish that, it can take a little while to publish, and I've also noticed that it can take a little while to refresh on the front end. I'm not sure if it's a caching issue, but that one appeared very nicely. So that looks pretty good. So on the home page, it looks like there's actually the carousel is kind of right up against that banner, and I don't really like the way that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and put a spacer that I just want to be on the home page. So you can see this blue area here. This means it's just a widget or a region just for this specific page. So this won't appear on all my other pages. And I'm just going to put a spacer in here and I'm just going to give it a little bit of height, so not too tall. And now if I go ahead and publish that, that looks much better. Now it doesn't look like it's so crammed up against it. Okay, so some of the other things that people frequently want to do with Page Builder might be maybe you want to feature some categories on the homepage or have some banners that link to different pages. So underneath my carousel, I'm going to drag another layout. And you can see in the layouts, I have the ability to change the number of columns. So I can make a bunch of really small boxes. I can make 3 would be pretty common. 2 would be pretty common. If I have 3, I can drag it and I can make the columns different sizes. I always think it usually looks better to just kind of have them all be the same size. But I'm going to go ahead and have 2 images side by side there. And then I'm going to back out of the layout and I'm going to drag an image widget into each one of these. So I've dragged an image in, and then over here I'm going to click on the upload image. Now I could upload something from my computer or I can use something from the image manager. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this image, which is already in the image manager. And if I scroll down, I have some options of how I want it to appear. I can add padding or a margin. I can change the alignment. Could add a border if I want. I can link this. So in real life, I'd probably want to link this to a specific page so that when people click on that image, it's going to go to that location. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and back out of it, and then I'm going to put a text widget underneath there to say what this is about. So you can see as I drag, it highlights a different area. So this text would be the same size as that image. If I go down a little bit, you'll see the text would give me a full width text. So I just want it to be just under that image, the same size. And I have noticed that sometimes when you're using the text widgets, if you type your text in here and then you adjust your settings, it can revert your text to the default. So I typically will go ahead and make my settings changes based on the default text and then plug my text in after that. So I went ahead and changed the text styles before I put my text in, and that looks pretty good, but I think it's kind of crammed up against the image a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and add to this text widget some padding on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 pixels of padding there, and that looks better. Now it's not so crammed up. So I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. Put another image in here. I'm going to click on upload image. I'm going to pull this one. And as you can see, now they're misaligned because this one has text under it and this one doesn't. If for some reason you wanted to leave it that way, you can click outside the image into the column, and then you'll see that it allows you to choose how you want it to be vertically aligned. So I could make it top aligned, and now at least the images would be aligned even if I wasn't going to have a text caption here, but I am going to go ahead and put a text caption there. And if I wanted to make it even easier, I could actually duplicate this text widget and then drag it into, well, not drag it, but move it into this area, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my 5 pixels of padding at the top. Okay. So now if I go ahead and publish this, go ahead and check on the front end and see if it appeared. And there we go. Now they're a little spaced out and there's this huge gap in the center, and that's because these images are actually too small to fill the space that they're in. So one thing I could do would be to make 3 images across, and that would easily fill up the space because these would get smaller and then there'd be a 3rd image. The other thing I can do is I can move it down from below the carousel into the section below. So you'll see that this layout here goes pretty much edge to edge. It goes all the way from side to side on the screen. But this region here is actually has a fixed width that's narrower. It's the same width as the most popular products. So I could drag these down into there if I wanted to, and then that will make them smaller. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and add a third image. So when I go back to my layout, I'm going to change it to 3, and now you can see it's added a third one. So I'm just going to use one of the same images that I had before. And then if I wanted to duplicate this text, what I can do is I can click on it, and then you'll see there's a little icon to duplicate. Also up here with the 3 dots, you can also duplicate up there. So if I go ahead and duplicate it, well, now I've got 2 here. I don't want 2 in the center, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and you'll see there's a section for layers. And the layers basically show you all the different layouts in your page builder content and where everything is, and allow you to drag and drop them. So as I sort of scroll through them, you'll see it'll highlight the columns and the layout. So this is the layout that I'm in, layout 1, and then I've got column 1, 2, and 3. So if you name your layouts, it'll make it a little bit easier to use the layers area, because you can see up at the top where I named this layout site-wide banner, I know exactly what that is. Once you have a lot of layouts going, it gets confusing as to which layouts are which. So you can see in column 2, I have an image and then 2 text widgets. So in column 3, I just have an image. So what I can do is I can take that second text widget and I can drag it here under the image, and there it is. So that will save you some time as you kind of go through creating some widgets. Now, if I wanted to move them down into this lower one, I could do the same thing. I could click on layers, and then I can see this layout, and I can move them to the, I believe it's this layout, the home below top products. Oh no, that would be the one below that. So it would be the home below featured products is this region here. So I could drag this down into here, and then now you can see it doesn't go end to end. The layout has a fixed width. So if I want to move it back, I can move it back to the home below carousel. And now you can see it just got wider there. And let's go look and see how it looks with the 3 images. Okay, so now it's too wide because my carousel isn't really going full width, so I may want to move it down into the other one. But you can get a sense of how this would work. A couple things to note is that this layout is kind of jammed right up against the most popular products, and we probably want to add some spacing in there. And then the other thing is, once I look at how this is going to look on mobile, you can see they're really kind of stacked very closely to each other, and it would probably be better if there was some space between visit our store and the second image, so that I knew this text went with this image and learn about our services went with this image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and first I'm going to go ahead and add a spacer beneath each of these. Now I could do this with a spacer, and I can put 20 pixels there. The other way I could do it would be to click on the text widget, and I could put a margin at the bottom of 20. It's also going to add that space. Or I could go into the column, and I could put a margin of 20 into the column. So any of these things will do the trick. It doesn't really matter which one you do. Right, because now this one has the margin down there. Either way is fine. Whatever you want to do will work. And then because 20 pixels I don't think is enough spacing between these boxes and the most popular products, I'm going to use a spacer again that's a full width spacer, and just make that another 30 pixels. So now we'll have a really good spacing between those sections of the page. You don't want things to be too crammed together. Visually, you always like there to be some white space so that people can understand that sections are distinct on the page. So if I go ahead and refresh now, so now I can see there's definitely more space there. And when I look at it on mobile, now there's more space, and you can tell that these are distinct boxes. Okay, so the nice thing about PageBuilder is that it doesn't just work on the home page, it works on all different types of pages. So let's say I wanted to add something to a category page. If I want to be able to navigate this preview, I have to click the preview button up here. And then I could go, let's say, to the bath category. And maybe in the bath category, I want to be able to put a banner at the top of the page. So you'll see, again, I have a couple of options here. I can make something that's going to be full width, similar to this site-wide banner, or I can make something that's just going to be the width of the content. And I think I prefer the width of the content here. So I could drop in, let's say, a hero banner, which maybe is going to have, a nice um, photo of a lifestyle photo of a really high-end bathroom, and then I can put my text in here, and I can choose different formats for this, so I can have the text in the middle if that works better for my image. I can link the banner to somewhere else. And I can upload my image here the same way. It's the background image, and make sure you always do replace the background image. I've seen quite a few BigCommerce sites now that just have this stock photo of this plant and it looks like a stock photo, and so you should definitely replace it with your own imagery. I can also change it to parallax view so that as you scroll, it scrolls on the image. It's kind of a cool visual feature. And I can change all sorts of things again about the image alignment. So do I want to look at the top of the image or the middle of the image, depending on what it is. And I can also change the opacity. So if I want it to be a little bit lighter so that my text stands out more, you have a lot of different options, and you can change how the text appears and how the button appears, all this sort of thing. Okay, so that's potentially an option for the category page. And then you can see you also have a banner section down here at the bottom. One of the things that I've seen people do that's kind of a neat thing is maybe instead of having a banner here at the top, maybe you want to have a most popular bath products. So maybe you want to feature a few items in this category. So you could do that by doing a product set. And we can drag a product set in here. And then I can add a product. So I'm just going to pull one of the sample products from my store. And this is the towel, so that works well for the bath. So maybe I want to be able to have, some top selling products here. And I could then add a heading and maybe change this to 16 and then yep, there's an example of where it reverted the text back. So just be aware of that. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why. So that's kind of a cool feature. And then we could even put a background color behind all of this if we wanted to, so that maybe it stood out and looked different from the rest of the page. So it's kind of a neat little feature. So you can see there's lots of different things you could do. Maybe, I don't want to have products here. Maybe I want to put a video. You can drag a video in here. Obviously, this would be quite large if I had a video this large, but you can just pull in anything from YouTube or Vimeo by just putting in the URL. And so there's all sorts of things you can do. One of the things that's good to note is that the page builder just pulls in sort of default fonts. It does not pull in the fonts from your particular theme. So if you have a specific style of heading, let's say you want to be able to use this bath heading, or maybe a better example, if I go back to my home page and I go into the design, if I wanted to add a title here that basically said, I don't know, Cleveland's best clothing store or something like that, and I want it to be able to look exactly like most popular products. If I put just the text in here, you can see it's a different font. And even if I try to change the font, it's not going to pull in the font that's being used here, which is Montserrat. So if I want this heading to look exactly like this heading, the best thing to do is to use an HTML widget instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the front end of my site. And this will be slightly different depending on your browser, but I'm going to right click on the heading that exists, and click on Inspect or Site Inspector or Inspect Code. It may be different depending on the browser. And then you can see the code right here. It's an H2 heading and it has a class of page heading. And the class controls the font, the color, the size, the weight of the font, the spacing, the fact that it has this amount of margin. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that as HTML, and then I'm going to copy this code. And now if I go back into Page Builder, instead of using a text widget there, I'm going to go ahead and use HTML. And you'll see there's some initial code in here. You're going to want to delete all of this. And then we're going to paste in the heading code that we copied. And I don't want this to say most popular products. I want it to say okay, and then in order to see how it's going to look, you need to click Save HTML. Okay, so now you can see that it's saved, and you can see now it's the same font and the same size as the heading down here. And it's even got the built-in margin that this heading has, which is nice. So now it's very consistent. If I go ahead and publish that, there's our new heading. So that's a little trick, is if you're having a hard time getting something to look exactly the way you want using Page Builder, you always have this HTML widget which you can drop in. And so let's say you got embed code from another site or something and you want to add that, you can use this HTML widget, and it just allows you to put whatever kind of code you want into it. And it gives you a little bit more control over the look and feel of the widgets. So we've talked about how you can use it on the home page, how you can do global regions, and how you can also use it on category pages. You can do the same thing on a product page. Now, most product pages don't have widgets built in, although some of them do. So if we go look at a product page, let's see if there's any widgets. So there are. So there's a widget here below the price. So this was just going to apply to just this particular product. It's not super useful because if you're unlikely to be going through and adding specific banners or text to individual products, but if you wanted to, you certainly could. What I would probably do if this was my store is I would change this widget to a global banner or a global region. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do that. So if we go ahead and go back out. This is going to require editing your theme. So in order to edit your theme, you're first going to have to make a copy if you haven't already. And then once our theme is copied, we're going to go ahead and apply this to our store so that we can see what we're doing. You can also work on the theme in inactive state if you don't want to be playing around with it while it's live on your site. So once we've created our copy, we can click on Advanced and then Edit Theme Files. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to the product page area. Now that's going to be different depending on themes, but what I do want to point out is by default all the themes are going to open up to the home page. And so you'll see any place where there's these where it says region name, these are the regions that you see on the front end. So this is the one that's right below the main menu, and this is the one that's below the carousel. So you'll see them, and there's one below the home below featured products and the home below top products. In order to make any region global, all you do is you just go to the end of the name. So if I wanted to make the home below menu region global, I just go to the end of the name there within the quotes, and I just put dash dash global and then save, and that'll make it a global region and turn it from blue to pink. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the product page. We're going to click on templates, components, products, product view. This is going to be the path to the main product area or the product screen and layout for most stencil themes. Some of them are slightly different, but for Cornerstone, this is how you get there. And then we're going to go to where we find that region. So here it is, region name, product below price. And I'm going to do what I just did, and I'm going to put the dash dash. And then I'm going to save and apply the file. So once I've done that, it'll take a minute or so to save. Once I've done that, I can go back to my customize menu to get back to the page builder. And then I'm going to go into preview, click on a product, and then go back to design mode. And now you can see that what was a blue widget is now, or a blue region is now a global purple region. So now if I add something here like free shipping on all orders over $50, it's going to show on every product page in the same area. And I think that's a little bit more useful than adding specific widgets to specific products, which would become very time consuming, and I'm not really sure what would be appropriate to be so specific to individual items. The other thing you can do that I've had many people ask me to do is if they wanted to be able to build a custom landing page, like let's say they wanted to on their contact us page or their about us page. Let's say they wanted to add their own content. That would probably a better example would be an about us page. So let's go back out and let's go to web pages. And I'm going to create about us. Now I'm not going to put any text in the actual text box. I'm going to leave that empty, but just so we can see where the region goes, we'll just put the word test in there just so you can see. In reality, I wouldn't put any text in there. And then we're going to go back into our theme files, and we're going to go to templates, pages, page. And this is the template or the layout file for your web pages. So you'll see there's actually already in here, there's actually a region name for PageBuilder content, but I believe it actually shows up at the top of the page. So if we come in here and we look, let's go ahead and go to our About page. Oh, so there is one here. So it used to be that you had to actually add a page builder template. So depending on which theme you have, this one is going to show at the top, so it's going to be full width. And you can see you could drag something in here, and you could basically build out your own layout for the About Us page and create a completely custom landing page. If you want it, if you have existing content that's in the back end, that's in your actual text editor, like where we put the word text, and you want your custom content to appear below that, then you would have to add a new region. So the easiest thing would be to just copy the existing region that's here. And then you're going to find the page content, which is right here. This is your page content. And then underneath, right underneath that, you're going to paste in your region. And you just need to change the name for it. So we could put Page Builder. Well, we could leave content and make it content below. And we probably want this to be, well, I would say to make this global. Well, no, we don't want to make this global. We want this to be just for this page. Okay. So now if you do make changes to the regions, they won't show up. You have to go back out and then reload the page builder in order to see those changes. So I backed out. I'm going to come back into customize and then go to my about page. And now we can see here's the region we just added below the text. So what I found some people might do is you may want to have, maybe a page that talks, like let's say you do make custom furniture or something like that. You may want to put some text about your services and then you want maybe want to have some images of your custom furniture. So this makes it really easy to do that because you can put your text in there and then you could drag a bunch of layouts and you could make a nice little gallery of images that are all going to be mobile friendly because they'll all adjust as the screen gets smaller, and build out your own little gallery like this. And you would just keep adding additional layouts as you need to add images. And it makes it super easy to build a nice grid format. So that's pretty much it for Page Builder. Hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, there's a lot you can do in here. There's even buttons. You can put in line dividers. So you have a lot of choices. You can put lines between each of these grids. I could drag a button in here. So there's lots of different choices. You can really play around with it, but I hope some of the tips that I gave you today will help make it a little bit easier for you to use. Once you start using it more, I think you'll find that there's a lot that can be done. And if you're HTML or savvy with HTML, you can always use that HTML widget to really style things exactly the way you want. You can even put CSS, inline CSS, in your code there, so you can do even more. And one of the other things too that you could do is if you wanted to be able to control the styling very specifically, if you are kind of HTML savvy and like playing around with the theme files, is you could name this, put a div around this particular region. So I could put a div around this region that I just created. And if I do that, then I can even more control the styling of any widgets that I put in there because I can reference this class and then say, oh, if it's, in the page builder area, the page widget section, apply certain styles to those widgets. So those are other things you can do that are a little bit more advanced. But like I said, even for a basic user, there's so much you can do with Page Builder, and it really allows you to take control of your homepage layout and add content to all your different pages. That just really makes your store look a lot better. Just always make sure that when you're adding things to Page Builder, that you always publish, check the changes on the front end, make sure they look the way you want. It's easy to go a little crazy and just add a bunch of widgets, but they may not look the best. So sometimes less is more with content, and I always recommend trying to, have enough white space between your sections so that things don't look too crowded. And again, good luck. I think you'll really find that this page builder's really useful and a lot of fun to use.